Hey yogis, welcome to Limitless Yoga Studio Online. My name is Kelsey Wright. This is Watson, and today we're going to be doing an all-over full body flow. So we're going to be hitting all the major muscle groups. We're going to be finishing with a really nice neck massage. So this is a great one to put as one of your favorites to get anytime you need a little bit of movement and just to get all the kinks and wrinkles out. So to start, we're going to make sure to have two blocks handy. We are going to be using one of these blocks for the neck massage. If you don't have a block, you can also use a foam roller, so you might want to grab that. So put on your favorite playlist and then lay on back, relax, and let's get started with a little bit of breath work. So make sure that you're comfortable, whether that's knees bent, feet planted, or legs up nice and long. And then close down the eyes. And then take just a second to really hone in on that awareness, kind of dial it up to 10 and begin to send it down your body to see what's going on and what you can do to influence it. This might be the very first time today that you've had a chance to see what's going on. So as you continue to breathe in and out the nose, let's make sure that we've dropped the jaw, we've dropped the tongue. The back of the neck a little longer than the front. Shoulder heads are heavy towards the mat. Scan down the spine, maybe checking on how long that tailbone is, how soft the hips are. And then you might want to do that all over again, head to toe. Are the muscles of the face relaxed? Is there another wrinkle in the brow that you can release? Check on the shoulders, check down the back. We'll be here for just a few more cycles of breath here. Each inhale, 360 degrees around that waistline. So imagine your rib cage opening up like an umbrella, equal in all directions, filling up the belly, the ribs, the chest. Each exhale is slow and controlled. Take your time. We want to cultivate the breath that is going to get us through the rest of this class. So give me 3 more big cycles. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. 2 big breaths, solidifying that pattern. And then setting the intention to really keep this breath throughout class, trying not to shorten it up in any way. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and flutter open the eyes, reach the hands up overhead, take a nice big full body stretch, reach the fingers, reach the toes, lengthen it all out, and then draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze here. Now we want to wiggle the toes and roll out the ankles. Make sure you're going your full range of motion in both directions, and then begin to massage the low back. So I'm going to rock right and left, and this might be the best thing for you. Stick right here. Or we can draw some circles on the ceiling with the knees, of course, going in both directions, just loosening up that tailbone area. Or if the low back is extra grumpy today, I'm going to recommend you lift the head up off the floor and then scrub that tailbone area up and down the mat. So you're going to feel the layers of tissue and muscle slide together, and that's basically kind of ironing out the wrinkles. It's going to feel really nice. So take one more big breath in whatever motion was best for you. And then we'll pause and relax the head down. All right, teeing the arms out to the side, drop both knees over to the right, heavy as you can. We're going to keep the left shoulder grounded on the mat. Take a big inhale to lengthen the spine through the crown of the head, and then exhale nice and heavy through that left shoulder. Firming up the belly, bring the knees back to center. We're going to kick the heels up and down a few times, just working through the hamstrings and the calves. Keep this dynamic and moving. We just want to kind of feel out what the body's going to give us today. Then bend the knees and we'll head over to the left. Watson is very much in the way, so I'm going to scooch over a little bit. We can't disturb the corgi's nap. With the right shoulder grounded, take a big breath up the spine. Exhale nice and heavy like you're wringing yourself out, kind of like a sponge. All right, firming up the belly, bring the knees back to center and plant the feet flat on the floor. All right, from here, hands are going to be down by the sides. You're going to press into the feet, lift the hips, lift the hands, roll up, maybe tap the floor behind you, and then bring yourself down, tucking the tailbone towards the heels. Now, as you continue to do this, this is about massaging the spine up and down, one vertebrae at a time. So try to be mindful of articulating one piece at a time. And then do your best not to over squeeze the buns. Sometimes when you do that, we feel a little compression in the low back. So roll up. Don't worry about how high you're getting here. Just worry about that spinal massage. This is our last one, all the way up and then all the way back down. Bring the right knee into the chest, right hand to right ankle. We've got half happy baby, so the footprint will stay on the ceiling. Thigh bone's going to snuggle down next to the right side of the rib cage. And just be aware of this symmetrical low back that we're looking for as opposed to sloping over to the right. Take a big breath here. And then exhale, switch hands. Left hand is going to take that footprint across the body. You're going to feel a really nice outer hip stretch now, kind of that big strap across the glutes. You can play with the angles here, find what works for you. And then we're going to do this pattern one more time. So switch back to the right hand, footprint on the ceiling. You're feeling the inseam of the pants here, that inner thigh. Take a big breath. And then exhale again, switch hands, draw it across there, play with the angles, find what's best for you, and give me a breath here on the outer hip. As we release the ankle, we're going to kick the foot straight up for a hamstring stretch. I'm going to interlace behind that thigh bone, keeping the head, neck, and shoulders grounded. Feel free to lift the hands up towards the back of the shin or back of the heel. We want the toes flexed towards the shin, so the heel would be the first thing to touch the ceiling. Give me a nice big cycle of breath here. And then on your exhale, you're going to bend the knee, plant the foot. The left hand goes up overhead so I can roll onto my left side for a quad stretch. So right hand to right foot, resting the head. We're going to go heel to sitting bone here. Try to keep the knee in line with the hip rather than hiking it up, which is the tendency. And you can always crawl the hand further down the ankle if you want a little extra. Keep the belly firm enough that you don't feel this in the low back. Okay, as you slowly release without slingshotting that leg, bring it back to center. We're going to do the same thing on the second side. Bring the left knee in, left hand to left ankle, half happy baby. So this is the inner hip stretch that we're looking for. Take a big breath and then listen to the low back. Let's keep it symmetrical. Then the right hand takes over, pull that footprint across the body, and then play with the angles, knowing the side is going to be different. So you might have to adjust, and something else might feel better than it did on the other side. We're going to do this flow one more time. Left hand takes over, half happy baby. Feeling that right there on the inseam of the pants. You're welcome to place the hand on the pinky toe side of the foot if that feels comfortable. Give me a breath. And then exhale, right hand takes over as you go across and get that outer hip. So we're kind of working both sides of the hip here, inner and outer. All right, we're ready for that hamstring stretch. Go ahead and kick your heels straight up towards the ceiling. Interlace your hands behind the thigh bone and then choose to move up if you'd like, or just keep it where it is. I know this hamstring is a little bit tighter than my other side, so he's going to feel a little bit different and look a little bit different. Big breath here. And then we're going to place the foot on the floor so we can get the quad stretch. Right hand goes up overhead, roll into the right side, rest the head. Left hand to left foot. And then if you're not able to reach, just pretend like you can and just hold this here. With the heel towards the sitting bone, pull the kneecap energetically out of the hip, but in line with it. Give me one more breath here. Nice firm belly. And then slowly release. As you bring it all the way back over to the back, we're going to bring the knees into the chest, big squeeze here, and begin to rock and roll up and down the spine. So this is going to be a little massage from head to tail, being mindful of each and every vertebrae, kind of bringing that whole spine online. And then as you pop up to a seated position, let's sit up nice and tall and relax the chin down towards the chest. Go ahead and roll out the neck. We want at least one circle in each direction, but you are more than welcome to take extra circles if something feels a little cranky. As you switch directions, be aware that the body has a tendency to skip areas that are tense, and then we tend to lose that range of motion. So be careful and just slowly roll through the areas of tension rather than skipping them. And bring yourself up nice and tall. Reach the hands into the sky. Inhale. Exhale. Take a twist over to the right. Press the arm into the leg. Sit up through the crown of the head so the spine has as much space as possible to take this twist. Then inhale, rise up. And exhale, switch directions, pressing the arm into the leg and the leg into the arm. My chin is going to stay hovering on top of the heart, so I'm not really cranking into the neck. Inhale, hands right back overhead. Side bodies, we're going to drop the right hand and reach with the left. Keep those sitting bones grounded. Reach up overhead with the shoulder blades down the back, and then switch it out. Drop the left and sweep with the right. We're going to take one more set like this. Maybe this time as you drop the right and sweep the left, you're going to bend that right elbow or drop the right forearm to get a little extra. Same thing, second side. You can choose to stay here or bend the left elbow, maybe dropping the forearm. All right, inhale, 10 fingers towards the sky, interlace, flip, and push up towards the ceiling. Try to keep the chin away from the chest and then the fingers away from the back of the skull. We're here 3. We're here 2. On this last one, keep the arms nice and long. We're going to head over to the right, then bring it forward, chin to chest, rounding that mid-back area. Feels pretty nice. Bring it all the way back to center, and then I'll meet you back where we started. Second direction, over to the left for the side body stretch. Sweep it forward for that mid-back area. Bring it all the way around, and then sit up nice and tall. From here, we got cactus arms, so it's 90 degrees. We're going to take the elbows towards one another, rounding the back, and then really squeeze the shoulder blades together and open up the chest. Do this a couple times here, taking the spine in opposite directions, forward and back, tapping the elbows, and then squeezing the shoulder blades. We got one more, forward and back. All right, now we're going to take the right hand to the nape of the neck, the left hand to the small of the back. We're going to take that head back into that cradle that you just created, and then we'll keep that head there as we switch out the arms. So think about this rotation of the arm bones in the shoulder sockets. We're just knocking some rust off here. So don't worry about, the fingers tips touching at all. We just want to get that full range of motion. So you'll see these shoulder movements in a flow here in a moment. So kind of tuck that away for later. And then as you release completely, we're going to roll on over to hands and knees. I'll see you in tabletop position as I get rid of so much corgi hair. My goodness. All right, tabletop position. Shoulders on top of wrists, hips on top of knees. With your gaze between the thumbs, I want you to make sure that your hands are gloves and not mittens here. And then inhale, drop the ribs. Exhale, push, arch, and tuck the tailbone. So just as we were working the spine in the very beginning of our warm-up, just remember that there's lots of moving parts in the spine. Think about every link in the chain getting a bit of movement, doing its job, no one left behind. All right, one more up, one more down. And then I'll meet you back with a nice neutral spine, firm belly. We're going to take the right foot back for a calf stretch. Now, as you push to the heel, I recommend looking back at those toes and checking that the heel's in line with the sitting bone and not spinning inwards, which is kind of the tendency. If you want to put the left foot up on top and add a little extra weight and energy, you can. Take a big breath. Then on the exhale, that left knee's going to be on the ground. The right foot's going to step to the right pinky finger. We're going to move forward to get the inner hip and then pull yourself back to get the back line of the leg. So as you do this, you want to make sure and pause long enough to feel the effects of the pose. Don't just kind of flail yourself through space. Feel the benefits of the inner hip and then the hamstring. We got one last lunge forward and back. And then we're going to pause, put the right footprint up on the ceiling. We're going to curtsy across the mat, hitting that left outer hip. Bring it up, firm belly, take it over, kind of sassy in that left hip. One more up and down. And then we're going to float that right leg and pause. Really firming up the belly, really squeezing that left outer hip in. Can you take shoulder taps? So right to left and left to right. Now this is actually harder than it looks because as you take away that support, the body's going to want to kind of careen over to the side. So just make sure that you're going slow enough that that left outer hip really has to do some work here. All right, pause, reach that right hand up, big inhale. Exhale, twist underneath the rib cage for a count of 3, trying to keep those hips stacked for 2. And then last one, you can absolutely stay right here, or I'm going to take the quad stretch, heel to sitting bones. I'm going to firm up the belly so I don't feel this in my low back. I don't want to turn this into a back bend. I'm here for a breath. And then exhale, slowly release what you have. I'll see you on hands and knees. We're going to do the same thing, second side. Left foot steps back, press to the heel. Again, maybe a peek back to make sure the heel's in line with the sitting bone. Maybe a choice of foot on top of heel. Whatever you choose, relax the chin to the chest and stay buoyant in the shoulders. One more breath. And then everybody with that right knee down, you're going to step the left foot to the left pinky finger. Bring it forward to feel the inner hips. Take it back to feel the back line of the leg. And then just make sure that you pause long enough to really feel the benefits of the pose before you move to that other pose. All right, we got one more forward and back, warming up the insides of the hips and the back line of the leg. We're going to take that footprint up towards the ceiling, firm up the belly, curtsy across, now feeling it in the outer right hip as we take 3 of these little right hip sasses to the side. After your third one, we're going to pause and then straighten out the leg with a firm belly. Start your shoulder taps. Okay, so we're hugging that right hip in. What we just stretched is now contracting and holding you so firmly in space. It's pretty common when you start this to have a bit of a swing and a sway, so just slow it down. Know that it's a work in progress. One more, right outer hip so strong, and then pause. With the left hand up in the sky, big inhale. Exhale, dig underneath the ribs. You're welcome to drop that back leg as a little kickstand if necessary. And then after this third twist, you're welcome to stay here and hold or take that quad stretch. Now draw the belly button towards the spine here so we're not bowing in the low back. The knee's going to stay in line with the hip. We've got one nice big cycle of breath here. On your exhale, slowly release. And then as you step back, take a moment to firm the shoulder heads into the sockets. So magnetize those thumbs towards one another. Once you have plank with your feet hip distance apart, press the hips high into down dog. Feel free to walk out the legs if you need a little, maybe swaying the hips. And then again, we don't want the shoulders up in the ears, but we also don't want them locked down our back. So find that push, not a shove, that 50-50 kind of buoyancy in the shoulders. Looking forward, stepping forward, I'll see you at the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we got sun A's. Here we go. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, right foot steps back, pause, drop down into that right hip flexor. So if you want to keep it dynamic, you can. If you want to drop the back knee, you're welcome to, or you can hold it and push through that right heel, finding that in the hip crease, right where the quad meets the core. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and drop that knee. All right, from here, you're going to inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. We got a nice little side body stretch here. Drop the left, reach up and over with the right. Good. Bring it all the way back to center. And now watch, my back leg is going to whip to the side, so kind of swing your tail over so I can put the hands behind the back of the head and face the side of my mat. I'm going to take my left elbow towards my left knee. As I rise up, I'm going to take a spin behind me to look right at that back foot. I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to spin to look at my back foot. So this is a really nice way of getting some rust knocked off that mid-back area as you work into this twist. We got one more tap and a rotation. All right, as I come back, I want to swing that tail back into alignment. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands come down. Lift your back knee, slide back into plank. Rock to the tiptoes, lower to the belly. Feel free to use your knees if you need to. Okay, I'm going to find a diamond shape up overhead. My nose is going to stay on the floor the whole time. My belly button is going to lift up off the mat. Okay, so can I hover my diamond up and down, keeping the nose on the floor, keeping the neck nice and long, keeping the belly firm. So I want to play with how high can I get this diamond while keeping the shoulder blades down the back, making sure that I'm not feeling any compression or any pinchiness in those shoulder heads. I got one more, lift and lower, and then pause. Keeping the nose on the floor, I'm going to recreate this diamond on the back. So now my fingertips are on my tailbone. Belly's still firm, shoulder blades are still down the back. I'm going to lift and lower. And just begin to play with that range of motion. Again, making sure that we don't want to find pinchiness or compression in the shoulders. We're here strengthening all those really important muscles that support the shoulders in their sockets. So find two more up and down, one more diamond up and down, hands to the rib cage. Find your plank, maybe with the assistance of your knees, and then I'll see you in down dog to lengthen. I love to bend the knees and really traction out the spine here, up to you. Then look forward, step forward, top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. We got one more sunny. Exhale, fold, bend the knees if necessary. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, left foot steps back. Pause, hip flexors. So lower the hips. Maybe it's dynamic. Maybe you're dropping the back knee. Maybe you are holding still and really firing through that back heel. We've got a breath. And then exhale, drop the knee. Rise up, getting as much length in that spine as you can. Drop the right hand down next to your side. Reach up and over with the left, really breathing into the left ribs. Okay, as you bring yourself back up nice and tall, I'm going to take that back leg and whip it to the side, hands behind the back of the head. Elbow to knee, and then as I come up, I'm going to turn around and try to take a peek at that foot that I just whipped back behind me. It's my kickstand foot, okay? So each time I come up, I want the longest possible spine, and then a big twist and just a rotation that fits my range of motion. Okay, we got one more here, a little tap, and then lengthen and twist. All right, as I come back to center, I want to take that tail back there, lengthen, and hands come down. Sweep back into plank, rock the tiptoes, lower to the belly. All right, we're going to do the same diamond thing, but we're going to alternate. So with the nose on the floor, with the belly firm, we're going to take that diamond shape above head. Take an inhale, lift, exhale, sweep your hands back and create that diamond shape on the back. So as I continue to move, diamond forward, diamond back, I want to play with that range of motion. How high can I get up off the floor to offer myself a challenge, but nothing that's going to be pinchy in the shoulders or nothing where my shoulders are really crying out. We want all this to be productive here. We got one more diamond forward, one more diamond back. Hands to the rib cage. Everybody's going to come up to hands and knees this time. And I want the hands to stay really heavy so that as you drop the butt to the heels, it's almost like the hands are resisting this and helping to traction out the spine. Take a big breath here. And then bring yourself back up to hands and knees. Take the time to firm the shoulders into the sockets before stepping back into plank and pressing back into down dog. Once you're nice and long, look forward. Take as many steps forward as you need, top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, fold chin to chest. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. And then exhale, hands to heart center. All right, grab your blocks, take them to the top of the mat. We might need them for these standing poses, especially this first flow where we're going to be doing some hamstring stretches. All right. So this first flow is going to be hips and hamstrings mainly. Then we'll move into a round of twisting and then a round of shoulder goodness. So again, full body flow, a little bit of everything. As we come into these sun bees, if you have a vinyasa, feel free, absolutely do it. If you're not quite sure what that is or where you are at right now, I'm going to be modifying and building on. So just listen to your options and take what you want to take. With the feet hip distance apart, top of the mat, be careful of this hip sway that the body really likes to do. We actually want to back it up and stack it over the heels. Keep that low back protected. Inhale, hands up overhead. With a firm belly, have a seat down into your chair. Really heavy heels here, nice wiggly toes. Big inhale to stay, and then exhale, forward fold. Use the blocks if you'd like. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, vinyasa. So the first time, I'm just going to step back into down dog, and every time you ever hear the word vinyasa, you can always just choose down dog. All right, here we go. Inhale, right toes up. Keep those right toes pointed down. Exhale, kick it all the way to the top of the mat. Drop the back knee. I'm going to grab the blocks here so I can straighten out my front leg. As soon as I feel that hamstring stretch, I'm going to come forward and go for a left hip flexor stretch. So we got 3 of these total. Feel free to move the blocks to whatever height is productive for you. We want to make sure and move slow enough to feel the stretch in each pose. All right, after you're done with your 3, I'm going to get rid of the blocks. Lifting that back knee, lifting that right hand. I'm going to pause and pretty much do the same thing. Try to straighten out the right leg and then deeply come into that left hip flexor. So it's just kind of up in the ante a little bit. We got 3 total rounds, up and down, and then pause, hands to the floor. Spin your back heel down, anchor into your heels as you rise up and stack the shoulders on top of the hips. Now immediately check that your knee goes to the middle of that foot and that your back heel is a little further back than the toes. Give me an inhale here. We got 3. We're going to inhale, scoop the air up, and then exhale, press the air down, shoulder blades down the back. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, go down, find that inseam of the pants stretch. 1 more up and 1 more down. Pause right here, take a big breath, settle in. Pressure through the heels. All right, now as we straighten out the front leg, we're going to reach forward and down for triangle pose. Now the weight transfers to the ball of the foot, so absolutely micro bend that knee if that feels comfortable. Hand can be lightly on the shin, the ankle, or the pinky toe side of the foot. Resist that drop of the head into gravity. Give me a big breath, maybe choosing to look up at those left fingertips. And then exhale, bend the knee, hands come down, walk to the middle of your mat. All right, heels in, toes out. We're going to inhale, rise up, straight arms, straight legs. And then on your exhale, come down through goddess and sweep off your mat. Come on up. Really stick your booty way back behind you. Weight in the heels here so we don't have weight driving forward through the knees. Okay, we got 1 more. Stick that booty way on back. And the next time your hands are on the floor, you're going to pause and walk to the top of your mat. Maybe it's down dog for you. Maybe you're going to solidify that left shoulder, coming into side plank, and then lift the ribs and hips high so those back muscles help support you. Once you're in down dog, we're going to do the same thing in the second side. Inhale, left toes up with the toes pointed down. Exhale, kick it all the way through. Dropping the back knee, maybe using those blocks. We've got 3 rounds of that Ardha Hanuman, that half splits, and then coming forward into that right hip flexor. So absolutely know that you can move slower than this, especially if you're needing to spend a little bit longer and linger in that pose to feel the effects. Okay, after your 3, we're going to pause. We're going to lift that back knee. Left hand comes up. Same kind of flow, straight-ish to the front leg, and then dropping to feel the right hip flexor. So again, taking your time, waiting till you feel the effects of the pose, the benefits of the pose, and then after your 3, you'll pause. Hands come down, spin that back heel down, rise up, check on that foundation, and then firm up the belly so we don't have our butt sticking out. We have that nice long tailbone. We got 3. Inhale, scoop yourself up. Exhale, press down into that inner hip stretch. Inhale up. Exhale, reach to the fingers energetically. 1 more inhale up. And exhale down to pause. Settle in for a moment. Nice long back of the neck. We've got triangle pose. Straighten out the front leg. Reach forward to lengthen the spine. And then decide how that hand is going to rest. Shin, ankle, pinky toe side of the foot. Maybe block if that is your preference. Lengthen the spine through the crown of the head for the inhale. And then exhale, bend the knees, hands come down. Walk to the middle of your mat. All 10 toes in the same direction. We got a forward fold. So be aware that the tendency is to stick your butt back behind your heels, which can be kind of stressful on the hamstrings. So we want to do our best to stack the hips on top of the heels and then square off your feet so all 4 corners are supporting this. We're not caving to the outer edges or the inner side of the ankle. 1 more big breath. All right, let's walk it forward. Down dog is a great option. I'll see you there. Or solidify that right shoulder. Take it side plank and then lift, pushing into the palm and lifting those ribs nice and high. I'll see you in down dog to lengthen. Okay, looking forward, bend the knees, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Here's our twisting round. Have a seat down in your chair. Keep those toes light. We're going to twist right elbow tapping left knee and left elbow tapping right knee. Now, if you take a peek at your knees, we want them really to be solid in space. If they're walking back and forth, you might just be twisting into the low back, which we want to avoid. After this last round, forward fold. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale your vinyasa. I'm going to add on a little bit this time by going plank, dropping the knees, broadening the chest, elbows to ribs with a supported belly. We don't want a hammock here. Once everyone's in down dog, second round for the twists. Inhale, right toes up, toes pointed down. Exhale, kick it all the way through. I'm going to drop that back knee. Inhale, rise up. Imagine your spine a slinky, getting as long as possible. Keep it that way as you drop your karate chops forward. That right hand is going to swing open the door. We've got 3 of these huge movements with the shoulder blades down the back with that nice long, tall crown of the head. After your third, the palms come together, create a sword that you're going to slice over to the right. We're going to windmill open this twist, taking that big wingspan, making sure that you're pressing that right thigh bone out into the left arm. Give me a big inhale here and a big exhale. All right, inhale, rise up, hands towards the sky, and exhale, hands to the floor. Lift your back knee. You're going to punch through that back heel. Firm up your belly as you rise up and find crescent pose. Inhale, lift up out of crescent. Exhale, spiral to your right as you sink back down into crescent. Inhale, rise up, think really tall thoughts here, and then exhale, spiral as you lower into the hip flexors. One more inhale up, one more exhale down. All right, this time as you inhale up, we're going to create that same sword, and then exhale, slice it on over to the right. Windmill open, that big wingspan, pressing the thigh bone out into the arm. All right, inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Exhale, hands to heart center, left knee into the chest. Okay, we're going to take a big spiral to the left. Now choose to stay here, or I can hook onto that thigh bone. I can press through the heel, or if my hamstrings are feeling it, I can latch onto the pinky toe side of the foot. I can keep the bend in the knee, or maybe fully extend one day if that feels okay. Take a big breath. And then on your exhale, you're going to slowly release. Drop the hands, drop those toes, and walk to the middle of the mat. All right, with all 10 toes in the same direction, we're going to plant that right hand center stage and sweep up the left hand. On your inhale, lengthen through the spine. Feel how that slinky action works. And then exhale, turn the rib cage, wringing yourself out like a sponge. Switch it out. Drop the left, reach up the right. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen the twist. Okay, hands come down, walk to the top of the mat. Again, option, of course, is down dog, or solidify the left shoulder, find your side plank, and then we're going to twist. So keep those ribs actively pushing up towards the ceiling to help support this. After your 3 twists, I'll see you in down dog. Okay, second side, and then we'll have a little break in pigeon pose. Inhale, left toes up with the toes pointed down. Exhale, kick it all the way through. Drop your back knee. Inhale, rise up, create so much space between each vertebrae. Keep it that way as the karate chops come down. Left elbow is going to swing open. Elbow. Left arm is going to swing the whole thing, not just the elbow. After your third twist, you're going to bring the palms together to find that sword that you slice over to the side. Windmill open. Now that arm is going to want to kind of bully that knee in, so really push the knee out there. Take a big breath here in your big open wingspan. All right, inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to the floor. We're going to power through that back heel to lift the knee. Now really wrap that core into the spine as you rise up so you don't feel anything in the low back. Once you're here, inhale, lift up out of the pose, then exhale, spiral to the left side of your mat. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, spiral. Gazing at the floor is going to be your best for stability if you find yourself a little wobbly. This next time, we're going to inhale up, pause. Create that sword that you slice over to the left, pressing the thigh bone immediately out into the arm for support here. Take a big breath in this twist. All right, bring it all the way back up on your inhale. Exhale, step forward, knee up. We're going to spiral to the right, maybe latching onto the thigh bone, maybe pressing to the heel, maybe finding that pinky toe side of the foot. One breath in your dancing Shiva. And then slowly release, hands down, toes down. We're going to walk to the middle of the mat for goddess. Heels in, toes out. We'll rise up and put the hands behind the back of the head. So really emphasize that sticking of the booty out, hinging at the hips, a bit like you do in chair pose. And then as I begin to twist, I'm going to watch my knees to make sure, just like in chair pose, that they are solid in space. If my knees are moving around, then most likely I'm twisting with my low back and my hips rather than trying to really focus on that rib cage. We're here for one more round, and then hands come down. Walk to the top of the mat. Down dog is a great option, or solidify the shoulder, find your side plank, and add in a twist. Last one here. And then from down dog, lengthen. We've got pigeon as promised. Right knee towards the nose, sweep the shin comfortably across the mat, drop the back knee. I'm going to start to wiggle that back knee back into my right hip, says it's good to go. When I lower down, I want to check that there's a relatively straight line from your sitting bone to your big toe so we don't have that weird kink in the ankle. And then as I come down, I want to check out that I have a relatively flat low back so we're not dumping a lot of extra weight on one side of the low back. You're welcome to stick a block underneath that right hip to offer some support, maybe underneath your forearms to offer some support. A really nice reset is the block on the forehead. That's always really great. There's a little acupressure point there, helps kind of reset. Great for headaches. This is your time to make sure that that breath is still where we need it to be. Inhales and exhales, just like they were at the beginning of class, or if it got away from you, this is your chance to go ahead and reset, get back on board. Now, if you're loving pigeon and you need a little bit of a longer break, I encourage you to stay here, breathe, and chill. I'm going to turn this into a quad stretch and then a pec stretch, so you can join me, or again, just stay here and relax. As I rise up to the palms, I'm immediately going to support my low back with my belly, draw it in, and then my heel comes towards my tush. If it feels productive, I'll reach back and find a quad stretch. Now, this is a pretty giant quad stretch, so if your body is sitting there going, oh, hell no, then just listen to it and don't worry about it. Take a big breath. All right, I can stay here, or if I kick my foot backwards, again with support from my belly, I'm going to feel a big pec stretch here on the left side. I can choose to stay here, or if I can really support with my belly, both hands can come back and I can get both pecs stretched as I reach back. Okay, it's just an option. Doesn't mean that you have to take it. All right. With control, drop the hands, curl those back toes. Everybody's going to land in down dog, so we can do this on the second side. Left knee comes in, sweep it across, drop the back knee. As we wiggle, 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 wiggle on back, we might check that we have that relatively straight line to the big toe and that relatively flat surface of the low back. Use the blocks as needed. Know that one side's going to feel different than the other, so one side's going to look different. Make sure and use what you need to use. Now, as you're breathing through this, hopefully you can feel the belly kind of expanding into maybe the leg. Maybe you can feel the ribs expanding into that left leg. Keep the jaw relaxed. Keep the tongue dropped from the roof of the mouth. And just like on the other side, if you need a little longer to rest, reset, you're good here. I want you to just stay here and maybe get 1% heavier on that right hip. Not a big movement, but just a little bit of energy transfer to increase the stretch. I'm going to go ahead and move on to that quad stretch. So as I come up, I immediately firm up the belly, heel to tush. Maybe I'm going to reach back. Feel out if this side's any grumpier than the other side. Stay here for a big breath, getting that quad stretch. And then for the pec stretch, I'll kick back, and I can absolutely stay here, especially if I feel wobbly or if I need that support of the hand, or I can bring both hands back, broaden the chest, firm up the belly, nice long back of the neck. One breath here. And then we'll slowly, with control, hands down, toes down, and find your down dog. All right, lengthen it out. Look forward, bend the knees, step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale, fingertips to shins, and exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. Exhale, put the thumbs to the back of the neck, firm belly, bring the elbows back behind you. All right, this is our shoulder round. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, come down into your chair, hands to heart center. Big inhale to stay firm through the heels. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees if you need. Inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, vinyasa, which could be down dog. Maybe you're dropping the knees. Maybe you're fully rocking to the tiptoes, broadening the chest, elbows to ribs with a firm belly. Flip the toes up dog with a long neck. Flip the toes down dog with those buoyant shoulders. Here we go. Inhale, right toes up in the sky. Exhale, kick it all the way through. Drop the back knee. We're going to swim. Ready? Left arm does the backstroke. Right arm does the backstroke, all 10 fingers up towards the sky. Big inhale here. Exhale, karate chops, come forward. I'm going to take the right hand, go underneath, tightest X I can across the chest, and then either fingers come up to pause or they clap the palms together. Now draw the elbows forward and then lift up slightly to the height of your elbows. You're going to feel a bit of a stretch between the shoulder blades. Take an inhale. Now on your exhale, can you keep pulling the elbows away from you, round the back until you feel the stretch that you want in that mid-back area? So some of us are going to get closer to the knee than others, not because we're more flexible, but just because that is the area of the back that feels best to stretch. All right, inhale, rise up, get nice and tall. And then exhale, hands to the floor. I'm going to spin the back heel down, but I'm going to keep the hips facing forward for warrior one. Rise up, firm belly. I really like to take that front foot and wiggle it a little out further so I have more room for my hips to direct towards my blocks. Big breath here. All right, from here, I'm going to rise up out of the pose, right hand to the nape of the neck, left hand to the back. I promise you are going to see that again. And then I'll sink back down. As I rise up, I'm going to switch, so kind of a big windmill motion here, and then I'll sink right back down. Inhale, rise up, switch. Exhale, come back down. Keep the crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. We're going to do this one more time. This time, inhale, 10 fingers towards the sky. Exhale, come down and find your bind. You're going to interlace, roll the shoulder heads back, firm belly, humble warrior. Aim your heart towards your kneecap so that you keep that right hip snuggled up underneath you, gazing pretty much at that middle toe for an inhale. And then exhale, hands come down to the floor. I'm going to walk to the middle of my mat, heels in, toes out, rise up for that goddess pose. Stick my booty back, and then I'm going to reach for dials on the front and back of my mat. Okay, once I've got my dials, I want to start with the fingers turning forward, which will make my wrists turn, my elbows turn, my shoulders turn, and eventually my spine round. Now, dial back. Fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders, influencing the spine. Okay, so turn your dial, starting at the fingers. Try not to move the next segment until the one previous to it has done its max range of motion. So we're thinking about really rotating the arm bones to their max forward and into their max back. All right, hands come down. Walk to the top of the mat. Our last side plank variation, which of course you can come into down dog, is going to be wild thing. So I'll find my side plank. I'll take a baby step with my right foot behind me, and then with my shoulder blades down my back, I'm going to roll the hips and the heart up towards the ceiling, finding that pec stretch. Bring it down, down dog. Last side, last set, you've made it. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, kick it through. Drop the back knee, we're going to swim. Inhale, right arm does the backstroke. Left arm does the backstroke, and I'll meet you 10 fingers up towards the ceiling. Big inhale. Exhale, karate chops come down. Left arm goes underneath. Try to find that really tight X over the chest. 10 fingers up to pause or to clap the palms together. Now draw the elbows out away from the body, maybe lifting them up towards the height of the eyeballs. Big inhale as you feel that stretch between the shoulder blades. And then exhale, pull the elbows away as you round. And this side could be different because of the bind. So just listen to that whole way down your spine and find what feels good. Everyone's going to be slightly different here. So don't worry about what I look like versus what you look like. All right, let's lose the bind. Inhale, rise up, get tall. Exhale, hands come down. Spin the back heel down for warrior one. Keep the hips, shoulders, and gaze facing forward. And then if you're like me, I like to take that left foot out, so I've got plenty of room to rotate those hips. It feels a little nicer. Okay, as we rise up out of this pose, it's going to be left hand to the nape of the neck, right hand to the small of the back, and we're going to come back down into warrior one. Inhale up to switch. Exhale, come down to settle. Inhale up. Switch, exhale down, feeling the right hip flexor. Okay, inhale up to switch, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. Last one, inhale up, exhale down. This time, inhale up 10 fingers, exhale, find your warrior one with a bind. Keep the belly firm, keep the palms closed, take a little humble warrior bow, heart to kneecap, gaze to middle of the foot, and keep that left hip from getting sassy to the side. Big breath. Exhale, let the hands go. Walk to the middle of your mat, square your feet off, especially if you moved your foot like I did. You'll have to take a second to get them even. Right hand center stage, left hand comes up. Take a big breath here, and then maybe you choose to take the top hand to the small of the back. Energetically pull the fingers down towards the mat, which will help you get a bigger pec stretch on that left shoulder. Okay, switch it out. Right hand comes up, big inhale. Exhale, energetically reach the fingers down towards the mat, rolling that right shoulder head back, spiraling the rib cage up towards the ceiling. And then bring it down. Last little option here. Down dog is a wonderful choice. I will see you there. Or find your side plank one last time. Left foot take the baby step behind you. Make sure the shoulder blades stay down the back as you arc the hips and heart up towards the ceiling. Okay, bring yourself back down. Find your down dog. Lengthen. And we've got dolphin. Dropping those forearms. Make sure the elbows are only shoulder distance apart. They really like to squeak out a little wider. Push your heels towards the floor. Push your sitting bones towards the back of your mat, and then push your heart towards the back of your mat. One big breath here in dolphin. All right. Drop the knees, hip distance apart. And then as I begin to walk my hands back, I want to keep my toes curled under. I'm looking for a pretty big stretch through the soles of the feet. So as I lower my butt, it'll get more intense, and I need to know when to stop. All right. So eventually the hands might choose to climb up the thigh bones, sit up tall, but just know that anywhere along the way, you need to stop, pause, and then keep the heels in line with the sitting bones. One big breath here. If this is really grumpy on you, then highly recommend 30 seconds every day. It's so important to keep your feet healthy. This is something that can help keep plantar fasciitis away. If you're someone that does a lot of running or walking, even doubly important for you guys or for athletes to keep those feet healthy. As you come forward, wiggle out the toes. We're going to get the other side of the feet. So stretching your right foot out, think of it kind of like a ballerina pointy toe, and then push your toenails down into the mat. As you push down, you're going to feel a bit of a stretch. If you want to increase that, act like you want to pull your leg forward, but you're not actually going to move it. So press down, pull forward. You'll feel a pretty nice big stretch up the top of the ankle, maybe even up the shin towards the base of the kneecap. One big breath here. All right, set that down, switch it out. Left foot reaches back, kind of that pointy foot, kind of like a flipper, and press down, pull forward. Absolutely micro bend that knee, especially if you feel like you're locked out in the joint. It can also influence the stretch, so feel free to play with that. We got one more nice big breath right up the front line of that leg. And then bring it on down. Okay, meet me on your booty and then have either your foam roller or your block. We're going to do a really nice neck massage here to finish. So what I want to do is I want to take the edge that's closest to me and I want to align it with the edge of my skull. So right here, kind of where that hairline is, I can feel that ledge of bone. I want to hook that ledge of bone right there on the block. So it'll almost create kind of a hammock for my neck. And then just make sure the block stays flat. Sometimes when we put our head on there, it tilts. And then when we move, it'll kind of buckle. So make sure that it's completely flat on the floor. We've got the edge hooked onto the edge. Chin relaxed to the chest. If you need to bend the knees and plant the feet, of course, you're welcome to do so. And then I'm going to flip my palms to face upwards. Now, the first breath or two is important because it's telling our body what this pressure is. If we tense up and shorten our breath, we're telling the body that this pressure is not good. Okay? If we take a nice big cycle of breath and we get heavy and relaxed, close down the eyes, we're telling the body this pressure is therapeutic and we want it so that it benefits us. So let's make sure that the shoulder heads are as heavy as possible to the floor. Drop the jaw, drop the tongue. Keep breathing in and out the nose. Now there's a point at which you feel kind of that relaxation response kick in because all of a sudden you'll feel muscles give way. You might actually feel the block kind of sink in further. You might feel the head loll forward a bit more. But then once you have that, you know you have options. You can stay still, or keeping that amount of relaxation, that amount of heaviness and laziness, I want you to slowly start to move the head right and left as if you're shaking your head no. Now, when you begin to do this, it might become pretty apparent that that block is not quite on the right angle. So feel free to move it so that you have this really nice, smooth gliding effect of the edge of the block with the edge of the skull. And then we want to slowly work into our biggest range of motion, maybe eventually getting earlobe to earlobe. So take your time. This should be slow and ideally with your breath. Think about moving, inhale, ear to ear, and then exhale, ear to ear, not letting the movement beat the pace of the breath. I want you to take about 3 more of these cycles and then hone your awareness in on any little red flags, just meaning that something feels a little different, a little unique, something is just slightly interesting. And then on this next round, I'm going to show you an option to address that. All right, so I've kind of put in my red flags. I know what's interesting, right versus left, and the different specifics. So now as I roll my head, I'm going to pause and be like, okay, that's definitely a little different. I can choose just to stay and compress. Imagine letting an iron just holding a wrinkle on a shirt. You know, if you just hold it there for a second, it tends to release. So imagine that. Or I can take the head in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to shake my head yes, just a teeny tiny little, just a baby little nod. And one of those will feel more productive than the other. Maybe the yes doesn't feel great, but just holding it there and relaxing and breathing is the thing that's for you. And then once that spot releases, you're like, okay, that's not as intense anymore. I'm going to go ahead and move on and find my next little area that I want to explore. Oh, got a spot there. Okay, I'm going to pause, breathe, relax, make sure I'm heavy, melt. Maybe that instantly made it go away. I don't need to do anything else. Or maybe I'm going to try a little shake of the head, yes. So you have your movements of no, yes, and just pausing for compression. So take another minute or so here and slowly work through your areas. It is worthwhile to notice if the right side in its entirety is grumpier than the left. That is your body's way of saying, hey, you're doing something different on your sides. If you don't manage to level that out, it could possibly lead to pain or even injury. So definitely listen to the signals that your body is giving you when you do things like this. And then I'm keeping track of the time for you guys, but if you choose to do this at home, which is a phenomenal idea, you want to set your timer for 3 to 4 minutes. You don't want to go too much over that. Sometimes it gets addicting because it feels so good. But if you go for too long, then sometimes the neck can actually feel a little stiffer afterwards. So we just want to hit that sweet spot of 3 to 4 minutes. Good to go, a little refresh, move on with the day. All right, last big breath here. And then finish off the movement that you're doing and go ahead and come on back, chin to chest, hanging heavy in the shoulders, long in the neck. Give me a breath here. Just in that stillness. All right. I'm going to keep my eyes closed as I take both hands to the block. I'm going to reach that block all the way up overhead, lengthen out, full body stretch. I'm just going to drop the block back behind me or my foam roller if you're using it, and then bring the arms down by the sides. All right. Make sure there's nothing around you. I'm going to get rid of that block. There we go. We don't want anything like a water bottle or a prop to cause a distraction here. Get out any fidgets, wiggles, create the best atmosphere, the most successful atmosphere for your Shavasana. And as I always say, don't skip this part. It's so easy with online classes, but there's so much beneficial information and experience for your nervous system with these last few moments of class. So just like at the beginning of class, you're going to work through your stages. First, your breath, making sure that breath is sending signals of calm and groundedness to every other part of the body. Then you're going to take your awareness down the body, taking inventory of each and every square inch so the brain feels safer, relaxing, knowing that you're safe and accounted for. And you might have to do a few of those head to toe scans. Eventually, you want to find that single point of focus, that anchor against the waves of distractions. So for some of us, we're able to feel the rhythm of our breath. Maybe the sound of the breath reminds us of ocean waves. Maybe we can feel the ocean waves lifting and lowering the chest. Others might want to count the breath, how long it's taking, because numbers are better for you. For some of us, we'll want to say something positive because words are more meaningful. Something like, I am still, I am calm, or I am enough. Maybe some of you need music during Shavasana, so you can latch onto those notes and follow them. And that can be your way of staying present in the moment, resisting that idea of wandering about. So whatever's most meaningful for you, whatever's most productive, go ahead and hold on to that now, combining it with the breath and the body. few moments here to melt and find that peace and calm, that down regulation of the nervous system that is so very important for us to be able to find off the mat when needed. Keeping the eyes closed. Go ahead and begin to make small movements, maybe brushing the thumb against the other fingertips, maybe rolling out wrists and ankles. And then I encourage you, as you take this full body stretch, to just notice how different the body is. Take this stretch and compare it to the one we did 45 minutes ago. Take a big inhale. Give your brain that feedback of just how much work you put in and out of the body. Then gently draw the knees into the chest, maybe recognizing more benefits in the low back and the hips. Take any movement that's necessary, and then slowly work your way onto the right side. Try to get as heavy as you were in Shavasana for just a moment more. This is our opportunity to hit the reset button, to set an intention for the rest of our time, recognizing that we can leave the mat a much better version than when we stepped onto it. So with one more cycle of breath to gather up what you need, then take your time bringing yourself up to a seated position, sitting up nice and tall in the spine, hands to heart center, and chin towards the chest. Thank you so very much for taking some time out of your day to work on the very best version of you, both inside and out, through movement, through stillness, through breath work, through mindfulness. It was my honor to lead you through the class. Namaste.